Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. In every nation, in every community, in every country, there comes a time when the leadership is just not there. There are times when we have great leadership, not in one country, but in the countries all over the globe. And then there comes a time when there's an upsurge of leadership in some parts of the world. And very anemic, very weak, very unimaginative, prosaic, dull, uninspiring leadership at other places. Today happens to be that time when we find absolutely capable leadership in countries like India, Japan, Israel, and a few others, and absolutely insipid, uninspiring, enthusiasm dampening leadership. And Canada is one of those countries where we find ample evidence of anemic, weak, indecisive, unimaginative leadership. And it's across the board. Whether it's a Liberal Party or the Conservatives or the NDP. The leadership of all the three parties is substandard, is something which is absolutely not acceptable for any country. Canada is a great country, and it's great because of two reasons. A, its natural resources and its protection by the seas, Arctic Ocean in the north, insularity from the south because of the protection granted by the vast and extremely rich and powerful USA, which gives Canada a huge market. So economically, the proximity to USA and through USA to the other countries makes us rich. The richness which is already with us, the resources. So the exploitation of those resources because of insularity is great. And we don't have to spend a major share on the defense, which is useless and harmful. Countries like China, USA, India, Pakistan spend a major portion of their budget resources on defense. Canada doesn't have to do that. And it's not doing that. The military that is there, 1 million plus, is practically just an armed police, not military. Well, we don't need it. So, given the resources, given the insularity, given the economic progress, we should have been number one country in the world, and we are not there because we don't have leadership. We never had it. There have been flashes of leadership at times. Mackenzie King, Lester Pearson, Stephen Harper were some of the people who lent luster to the office of the Prime Minister and gave real leadership. But why dwell in the past? Instead of dwelling in the past, let's talk of the present. And the present leadership, the lesser said the better. We often say that we are a great country because we are a member of G8 countries. It's not because we deserve to be there. It is because of the kindness of Charles de Gaulle, who, to influence Quebecers, forced the other G7 countries to have Canada as one of the members. So it's an act of largesse on behalf of the French that we became G8. As otherwise, our GDP is less than most of the countries who are not members of G8. So greatness was given to us as an act of charity. Now come to the present leadership. The present leadership of the three federal parties is absolutely below average. The polls that are taking place, which show the trend of the coming events, clearly show that the conservative leader is leading. But conservative is leading because of one reason. People are absolutely disappointed and disgusted with the liberal leadership, so they choose a lesser evil. It is not because of the sterling leadership qualities of Andrew Scheer that the conservatives would come into power. It is their good luck that their opponent is even less attractive. So it's a choice of the lesser evil. Trudeau has failed on various fronts, politically, internationally, domestically, and his policies have been a butt of ridicule. I was watching one of the cartoons the other day and I was amused. His most recent action, when he says that he takes water out of the box of water and then banning single-use plastics. And somebody had rightly remarked that that means that the hospitals will come to a stop because IVs, syringes, needles, blood bags, everything is single use. So you stop the single use and the hospital services are zilch, zero, nada. Internationally, countries like Philippines have threatened us, abused us. Saudi Arabia fiasco is too recent. India's trip, and the most recent one, Trudeau wanted to talk to President Xi of China, and he point blank, brusquely refused the request to meet or talk to President Trudeau. There can be no further damage to a country when the Prime Minister of that country is not welcome to talk to the people on whom he has been fawning. He was practically survived as far as China is concerned. So politically he is a failure. Economically we are on verge of recession. The inflation has risen this year much more than it has ever risen in the history of Canada. There have been resentment of the people of his policies, and not a single policy, whether it's refugees or illegal immigrants or economic or environmental, has found favor with the people. Polls notwithstanding, because I don't put much credence on the polls. Next comes NDP. NDP leadership, again, is a leadership that is not acceptable either to the country as a whole or to the NDP itself. What Jack Layton had achieved, Malkere could not consolidate, and Jagmeet is dissipating. The very fact that most of the MPs who are the backbone of the party are leaving shows clearly which way the party is heading, and the latest action of their that the voting age should be reduced to the age of 14 is ridiculous. Thank God they did not. You see, the liberals are saying give the voting right to the refugees and to the new illegal immigrants. And these people say give it to teenagers, NDP. I hope conservatives don't come and say that any citizen who is born as soon as he's a citizen should be given a right to vote. It's ridiculous. Jagmeet could not even condemn terrorists. So, while Trudeau is a failure, Jagmeet is definitely 2 notches below Trudeau. Trudeau had the advantage of being son of his father. Jagmeet doesn't have that except one, that he belongs to a visible community. But he belongs to that section of the visible community which has been engaged in and supportive of terrorism. And that's why he could not condemn that terrorist act of blowing up of Air India plane. Then comes Shia. I call him a chocolate boy, a chocolate hero. Nice to look at, chubby cheeks, dimpled cheeks rather. But policy-wise, absolutely a dumb squib. It's like a fused bulb attempting to glow and cannot glow. But then the reflected light comes and makes it shine a bit. His policies show that he has no imagination. The latest act of his in dropping the MP who condemned the Islamophobes and the pro-Islamists equally was a hallmark of some cheap vote pandering and being unrealistic. Andrew Scheer should have known that those people whom he was trying to pander to would never, couple of minutes please. Never ever vote for conservatives. They will not touch them with a barged pole. So what he was trying to achieve, he only is helped in making even his avid supporters absolute angry, annoyed, and repulsed. The caucus accepts Andrew because he has been elected. And there was no choice possibly at that time. Maxime Bernier could have been there, but whatever, the caucus elected him. But he has always been unable to provide the leadership that Harper provided. Even today, I remember when Harper used to speak to the people were enthralled. When Andrew Scheer speaks to the people are amused. And that is telling the real story. So all the three parties, notwithstanding the fact that who might win the election, that's immaterial. Somebody would win, has to win, because you always choose the lesser evil. But the sort of imagination that Z is showing, or that Modi is showing, that Netanyahu is showing, why is our country not showing that leadership? As a matter of fact, they say that when people don't have challenges to face, they become lethargic, listless, and incapable. Well, that's what's happening. Canadians are becoming a nation of lotus eaters. Inaction marks them. And that inaction of the people as a whole transmutes itself into inaction by the leaders. A leader is shaped by the expectation of the people, and when the people start accepting the status quo, when the people murmur, but that murmur is not translated into a tempest of anger and resentment, the leadership would remain absolutely anemic, lethargic, lazy. And that is what has happened to Canada. So in Hindi, there's a saying that like people, like the king, the ruler. So people here have to be enthused. And it's actually a direct connection. The leader enthuses the people, and the people enthuse the leader. But the leader needs to have three qualities. The quality to be imaginative and to be a dreamer. The quality to be a doer and a performer. And also a quality of having empathy with the masses. Our leaders are missing all three. Their imagination is the imagination of clucking hens. They are short-sighted. They cannot dream. They cannot visualize. And thereby hangs a tale. I would only say, I just would say again, ill fares the land where leadership is tawdry, weak. We need a leader with imagination, with drive, and a leader who can enthuse people. Till that time, we will not be able to retain the position of preeminence in the comity of nations. Thank you.